The NFL draft is less than 1 month away, and I have a pretty good idea about who the Bengals are going to be targeting. So in this video, I'm going to call my shot and make my early prediction. Hi again, Bengals fans. John Sheeran of A to Z Sports Cincinnati here, and we've still got a few weeks to go before the NFL draft, but that has not stopped me in years past from making a prediction with this much time to go. This time last year for A to Z Sports, it was just before April. We did a site-wide first-round mock draft where every single writer contributed. We made all 32 picks, and for the Bengals, I picked, at that time, Amarius Mims. And I picked him for the same reasons that the Bengals eventually picked him for as well. Because this team has very specific tendencies when they pick in the first round, specifically in the last 4 or 5 years. You got to be looking for a young player, someone who's probably 21 or younger. Obviously, Joe Burrow was an exception to that rule because he was the number 1 pick. He was the best quarterback in 2020. But Jonah Williams, Jamar Chase, Dax Hill, Myles Murphy, Amarius Mims, all were 21 years old when they were drafted. All of them also played for major schools, big-time programs who played in big-time games. Typically, they ended up in the college football playoff. You're talking about Alabama, LSU, Michigan, Clemson, Georgia. You guys all know those programs. They go for the big schools. And most of those guys, before they even got to those schools, were 5-star prospects. I think, again, Burrow was an exception there. I think he was a 4-star coming out of Athens. I think Jamar Chase was also a 4-star before he got to LSU. But again, Williams, Hill, Murphy, Mims, all 5-star. And typically, it's not too hard to decipher which position they're going to be targeting in the first round because you can typically glean from that from where they ignored it on the roster in free agency. Those are the boxes that all of us should be trying to check off when trying to predict this pick. Obviously, tape, production, athleticism matters, but all of that is kind of configured into how likely a player is to be picked in the first round in the first place. So utilizing all of that information at my disposal for this year's A to Z Sports site-wide first round mock draft, I had the Cincinnati Bengals select Ole Miss defensive tackle Walter Nolen. So let's go through this checklist quickly then. Walter Nolen is 21 years old. He was a former 5-star recruit from Texas A&M and Ole Miss, so 2 big-time SEC programs. There's a good start right there. Now, Nolen has been kind of a polarizing name in recent weeks. I know our boys for A to Z Film Room, both Ryan and Joe, aren't particularly high on him. They may not be comfortable taking him in the first round, but I think the Bengals are very interested here. The Bengals kept a close eye on Nolen at the Senior Bowl. They met with him at the Combine. They're probably going to bring him in here for a top 30 visit pretty shortly, and I would be pretty surprised if they didn't. But there's still one more box that we haven't officially checked yet, and it's the position that they're likely to target. Now, a couple weeks ago when free agency first began, the Bengals re-signed BJ Hill, and they signed TJ Slaton to play nose tackle, and I came on here on this channel to make a video about how the defensive tackle room feels a bit incomplete. It feels very one-dimensional. They don't really have someone that can provide disruption against both the run and the pass. TJ Slaton's going to be a fine nose tackle. BJ Hill's going to be who he's always been. We still don't really know who Chris Jenkins and McKinley Jackson are, but again, an X factor is missing from this group, and they want this group to be much deeper than it was last year, so we should expect a defensive tackle to be drafted very early. And Nolen, to me, fits that billing better than anyone that they could possibly draft at this juncture. Because not only is he a productive pass rusher who can win one-on-ones and actually finish at the quarterback, but he's a very good run defender, and he can get off blocks, and he can make plays in the backfield. And I think the run defense aspect of that is very important here because new defensive line coach Jerry Montgomery has been very adamant about if you can't stop the run, if you can't make plays against the run, you probably don't have a spot here on this defense. And I think that's what separates Nolen from a guy like Derek Carman, who has a lot of issues finishing tackles in the backfield and just in run defense in general. I'm definitely aware of the concerns about his motor and any other potential character issues that may come with him. I don't know all the specifics. Obviously, none of us really do. I'm aware of that, but I also think that the Bengals will be confident that they can get the most out of him. The Bengals probably should have been more aggressive to add a pass rushing presence at defensive tackle in free agency, but because they didn't, they've kind of pigeonholed themselves to be in this spot. And I think they did that partly because they feel confident that someone like Nolen, or maybe Nolen specifically, will be there at pick number 17. So unless things change here in the coming weeks, maybe there's a move here or two that changes the landscape of things, Walter Nolen is who I think the Bengals will draft in the first round. But what do you guys think? Who do you think the Bengals will take right now with their first round pick? Let me know in the comments below.